Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's installment of the Renegade of Wrestling. I am your host, J.J. Williams. I'd like to apologize to you once again for not having a new episode, having gone up recently. Being as how I'm covering primarily the independent scene. You know, there's shows that happen every week, but there's not a whole lot about them a lot of the time to really spend too much time delving over, so you gotta wait till you get a couple of them under your belt to give the rub to. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do right now, is put over a couple of shows I've seen in the last few weeks. The first one was presented by Battleground Pro Wrestling. Go to battlerageson.com for all information regarding their promotion. The show was called From the Ashes, and it featured Famous B defeating Pretty Peter Avalon in a great opening contest. Y'all have heard me talk about Famous B in the past. Very good friend of mine, of the entire family here at Casa D18 Studios. Let's see what else we had here. We had the Suburban Commandos and the Brothers Derevko, which had double count out in a very, very intense matchup. Very hard fought. A great fatal four-way elimination match between Jeremy Yeager, Lucha Machine, Chris Cadillac, and the ever-impressive Seville Alvarez. The more and more I see this kid, the more and more he makes me go, wow. On the surface, he comes out looking like a cross between Michael Jackson and Flava Flav, but once he gets in the ring and he starts doing his thing, doesn't fail to impress. Let me see here. We had Chris Cadillac pin Seville Alvarez in the final elimination for the win. And Chris Cadillac, another really good talent. He's going to finally get his chance to shine over at Pro Wrestling Guerrilla in a couple weeks. That's the ultimate test on the West Coast here, it seems. Is when you get called up to Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, you know you've kind of made it in the scene. So big shout out to Chris Cadillac. Also, Famous B is going to get his shot. And Ray Rosas is going to be getting his shot over at PWG at Steenwolf coming later this month, which hopefully we'll be able to get out there and see. Tag titles were successfully defended because of a no contest between the Fugitives, the champions, and Circumsexy, the challengers. And this is going to result in a tag team turmoil match at the next show, Pinky's Playhouse, in which both teams, along with the Suburban Commandos, along with the Brothers Derevko, and along with the Black Knights, are going to be fighting it out to determine the champions. And I gotta say right now, early on prediction, pulling for the Knights. They deserve it. BPW Maximum Championship, Tito Escondido versus Robbie Phoenix. Robbie was able to defeat Tito, become the new champion. Big ups to Robbie and Tito with a really, really good contest. Again, go to battlerageson.com. There might be some videos, some of these matches, you can check them out. The fight for the Ramirez Cup, Joey Ryan versus Rico Dynamite. Yeah, I'm wearing the Joey shirt, but Joey lost to Rico. At the end of the day, I think it's what was best for the company, because this was only Joey's second appearance for the company. And to give him essentially what was their version of the Money in the Bank, I just don't think would have been right to all the other people that have been in BPW for a long time, like Rico. You know, like I said, this was essentially their Money in the Bank, so Rico was able to cash in the Ramirez Cup at any point he chooses for a chance at the title. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. Ray Rosas versus B-Boy versus Scorpio Sky for the Ring Warrior Championship. This was Scorpio's debut. B-Boy's second time in the company. And B-Boy ended up taking the title off of Ray Rosas, and this was a well-deserved title change. I had a feeling when B-Boy debuted last month that he was going to become champion very, very quickly. If for nothing else but for all the history that he's got on the indie scene. If you don't know about B-Boy, you need to look him up. Seriously, go to YouTube, look him up, and do some homework. Last but not least, you had the BPW Heavyweight Championship defended. Rick Luxury challenging, our good buddy Mikey Callahan. Mikey was able to hold off the challenge of Rick Luxury, but in true heel fashion, as soon as he got beat, what did he do? He gave a backstabber to Mikey, and here comes Rico with his cup. Cashed it in, and Rico Dynamite is your new BPW Heavyweight Champion. I'm sad to see Mikey lose it, but at the end of the day, like I said earlier about the cup in general, I think Rico deserved it. I think it's Rico's time. I think Rico and Mikey can have a really good series of matches, with Mikey trying to get the belt back. Rico still has Joey in his rearview mirror trying to get revenge for losing the cup. BPW right now is positioned where they've got a nice amount of contenders for the strap. Rico's going to have his hands full in the coming months trying to successfully defend that. Going over to the Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy, which was a week later, I believe. Their student dojo show, which we attended, saw these kids, man. These kids go out there and they're busting their butt trying to make their name in the business, and they may never make it to the level of some of their predecessors that came through the school, but just the heart that they put into their matches kind of gives you that warm fuzzy feeling inside to see the tradition carrying on, and that's what Santino's is all about. As a matter of fact, coming up this week on the channel, we're going to be doing a Santino Brothers retrospective. Let me go ahead and get that plug out there. Pretty much an entire week of Santino stuff. We were at the school this past Thursday, filmed training footage, filmed some interviews, and we're going to try and get some more at Huntington Park Sunday. Hopefully y'all will be out there for that. Try and get some stuff there, and then we might even go back to their dojo again on Thursday, get a couple more interviews to round out the week. All next week is going to be Santino's week on the Renegade Wrestling YouTube channel. But back to the card, you had Andres versus Daniel, and that match wasn't even to happen because Rico Dynamite and Damien Arsenic, the EWF Tag Team Champions, came out, interrupted their match, and decided that they were going to teach these youngsters a thing or two about true tag team wrestling and true wrestling. Put a whooping on them. Ended up beating them in a non-title match because it was not sanctioned by the NWA. Really, really good, hard-fought, smash-mouth way to start off the show. And the rookies were that close to beating Rico and Damien. So definitely something that'll probably be coming in future dojo shows will be the continued feud of them against those two, and probably the win in the coming months. It's got to keep getting that close away before you finally pull the upset. We had Chloe versus Thunder Kitty in a much better matchup than the women's match that happened the month prior. Chloe was able to defeat Thunder Kitty. Chloe was also the very first Wild Women's Champion. Want to give a shout out to that. And Thunder Kitty was the second, if I remember correctly. So it was almost a rematch from the old Wild Championship, but better, I'm getting from Jeff in the background.
I don't mean to cut in. I'm sorry I cut Travis down, but that match was epic compared to the one at Wild. I don't know what was going on. I think what Thunder Kitty had told me at the school was they'd had more matches since then, so they were able to build and get better with each other.
Whatever it was, that match was really, really good, and big ups to Thunder Kitty. She's quickly becoming one of my favorite women's wrestlers in SoCal, along with Lucky O'Shea and Nikki the New York Knockout. Those three right there definitely have the potential to hold down SoCal women's wrestling, and Buggy. Can't forget my girl Buggy. Pinky and Seville Alvarez versus BC Killer and Sean Heads. This was a mismatch, WTF match, whatever you want to call it, because Pinky and Seville looked like the odd couple. And then you had BC Killer and Sean Heads, who the prior month beat the piss out of each other. They were the odd couple. And Pinky and Seville got the victory. and you're scratching your head. You're like, what? But at the end of the day, it was a really fun tag team match, and for a dojo show that's not, you know, really being produced like a bigger company show like an LCW or a BPW, it was a really fun, good match to witness. Lucha Machine defeated Famous B via DQ. Gotta give props out to Lucha Machine, who came out, pointed at Jeff, and was like, I watch your show, dude. Threw the mask and everything. It was freaking funny to watch. And then the main event, Kayam defeated Joey Chaos via disqualification. Both of the main event matches ending in DQ. I was a little bit puzzled and upset about that. But at the end of the day, we know Kayam versus Chaos is built into something bigger. Even within the little storage shed that they call a dojo, where all the blood, sweat, and tears is poured out. Once again, BattleRageIsOn.com, where you can find some of the videos from the Battleground show that I just talked about. SantinoBros.net has a couple of videos up from the Santino Dojo show that I discussed. Be on the lookout next week. Mixed in with all the Santino Brothers stuff, Statboy has got a 9-part epic mini-series of Statboy rants where him, myself, and our good buddy Bruce break down VH1's 100 greatest songs of the 2000s. Like I said, this is 9 episodes, folks. 15 minutes per episode. Do the math. You're looking at over 2 hours of Statboy rants that are going to be going up over the next week. Be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for Dad's After the Bell RSI. And I will see you next time.